To begin drawing a portrait, you will first need to draw an upside down egg shape. Remember that the narrow part of the egg points down, as this will become the chin. Now you're going to find the center of your head, and next you're going to use your ruler to draw a vertical line right down the middle, splitting the head in half. Now you are going to draw a horizontal line halfway down the egg. You can eyeball it or you can use your ruler. When I measured the center line, it was about 6 inches, so half that would be about 3. This is considered your eye line. Halfway between the eye line and the chin, draw a second horizontal line. This is where the bottom of the nose and ears will go, or we also call it the nose line. A third of the way down from the nose line, draw a third horizontal line. This is where the mouth will go, or the lip line. So now we're going to measure where the eyes go. Our eyes are about 1 eye width apart from each other, and proportionally you can fit 5 eye widths across the face. 1 eye width in the middle, an eye width on each side where the actual eyes will go, and 1 eye width on either side of the face. We're going to draw the eyes with the corners of the eyes on the lines from the measurements that we defined. We're going to repeat the same thing on the other side. Now we're going to draw the iris of the eye by drawing a circle right in the center in each eye. Right in the center of the iris, we're going to draw a smaller circle for the center of the eye called the pupil. To get an accurate measurement of where the mouth ends, we're going to draw a dotted line from the center of the eye all the way down to the lip line. Now that we know where the lips are going to end, let's establish where the cupid bow is and where the bottom of the lips are. Starting with the center of the top lip, we're going to begin to draw the shape of our lips. We're going to define where the middle center of the lip is. And we're going to also start to bring the bottom of the lip down and around and connect everything. As I said in last week's lesson, typically the center of the lips, where your two lips meet, is not a perfectly straight line. So you're going to make that area slightly curved. To draw the nose, we're going to use the basic formula for drawing a nose. We're going to draw a bigger circle and two smaller circles overlapping the bigger circle on both sides. The nostrils typically end where the corner of the eyes start. Eyeline. Now that we have the basic parts of the face mapped out, we're going to go ahead and bring out everything that we learned from the past few weeks to draw the features of the face. So we're going to start by drawing our nose. We already have the nose mapped out with the two overlapping circles. So the first thing we're going to do, like we did last time, is we're going to define where the nostrils are. And again, that is where the two circles overlap. We're going to bring that around. Now that we have the basic idea of where the nose is, now we're going to erase the unneeded sections of the drawing. We're going to erase that section where the lines meet, and we're going to erase this center line down the middle of the nose since we're not going to need it. And we're going to start to add shadow. As always, when you're adding shadow, you want to make sure that you are using your pencil on the side like so, instead of drawing directly on the page like this. You want nice, smooth areas of shading. So I'm going to start by shading in the nose, kind of in a C kind of pattern. I'm basically following the shape of the nose. I'm going to fill that in, some shading. I'm going to add some shading to the outside of the nostrils on each side. And I'm going to add a little bit of shading where the bridge of the nose would go, just like what we did in our original lesson. And now that we have that all figured out, we're going to take our Q-tip and begin the process of blending. Now remember, when you're blending, you always want to blend in the direction of the shape that you're creating. So if it's a circular shape, you're going to blend in that shape. If it's a more linear shape, you're going to blend in that shape as well. All right. So we got the basics of the nose. Let us redefine where the tip of the nose is and bring those nostrils down and around. We can define that a little bit. We can maybe make it a little bit darker right here, just so we can see the difference in color. Let's do that. All right. For now, I'm going to leave in the guidelines while we bring out the features of the face. So next we're going to move on to the lips. Just like before, we are going to add layers of shade to the lips to make them pop and look more realistic. We're going to begin by, we're going to start with the bottom lip. So just like before, you want to begin to shade the bottom of the lip, but make sure you don't go all the way up. You don't want to shade the entire lip. You want to leave a little area of white right at the top that is unshaded. So let's do that. And now right at the tippy top of the bottom lip, We're going to add a tiny bit of shading there, but we're going to make sure that we leave the center of that lip white. All right. And now we're going to pick up our Q-tip and we're going to blend. Now I'm being very careful when I blend the top because I want to make sure that I don't touch that middle section. All right. All right. And now we're going to do the same thing to the bottom lip. We're going to be begin shading from the bottom. And you want to shade going upwards, but you want to make sure you don't go all the way up. You want to leave a little bit of space that's unshaded. And I'm going to blend. Let's blend that area. All right. All right, so now, like I said before, usually when you're blending, you can lose some of your lines and some of your shapes. So all I'm doing now is going back and redefining the lips. I'm gonna leave the lips lightly shaded. Now we did not put this in our original video, but right in between the lips and the nose is something called the Cupid's bow. And it usually has a little bit of shadow on one side. So we're just gonna add a little bit of shadow here. And we're gonna take our Q-tip and blend. All right, so now we are gonna get into the eyes. The great thing is that we basically have the eyes already drawn when we did our proportions of the face. So the first thing we are going to do is draw an eyelid. You want your eyes to slightly overlap that line, you know, because when you look at someone's eye, you normally do not see their entire iris. And then just like we did in the previous video when we did our eye lesson, we are going to erase the top corner of the pupil. And we are going to draw a smaller circle right there for the highlight of where the eye is. Right, and we're going to go ahead and erase those overlapping lines that we don't need. So now that we have the eyes pretty much established, let's go ahead and add some details. So we're going to start by coloring in the pupil of the eye. Make sure you don't color over the highlight area right here. This should be about the darkest area of your eye. Now we're going to start to add more detail. I'm going to bring this out a little bit more so that it matches the size of this one, to make sure that they're pretty even. So we're going to add some dashes around the pupil. Like last video, it should almost look like a sunburst. Little dashes going around the eye. And we're going to add a little bit of shading around the outside of the iris. A little bit of shading around there. Q-tip and blend a bit. Blend that out a bit. We want to make sure that we are avoiding that highlight area. That area should remain white, so be very careful when you get around that section of the eye. All right, so I'm going to add a little bit of more detail. I'm going to add a little bit more darkness around the bottom outside area of the iris. I'm going to add dashes going around, kind of like how I did with the pupil. And I'm going to take my Q-tip and blend a bit. Okay. And usually when you blend, you might lose some of your lines in your eye. So just make sure you go back and redefine those areas of the eye. And we're going to repeat on the other side. Okay, and now we're going to add a little bit of shading to the corners of the eyelid. A little bit of shading to the corners of the eyelid. And we're going to blend. Now we're going to draw our eyelashes at the top and bottom of the eye. So now we basically have all the parts of the face that we learned in our first 3 lessons drawn, and we're just going to add on to that now to complete our portrait. First things first, typically it may seem weird, but your ears actually fall between your eye line and your nose line. And normally when you're looking at someone face forward, you can just see the sides of their ears, kind of like this. So we're going to draw our ears, and we're going to have them come down and in right at the nose line. So now we are going to add the eyebrows. Now eyebrows, just like all other features, come in different lengths and shapes, but I normally like to draw my eyebrows a little bit up from the eye at a slight angle and bring it down. Repeat on the other side. I like to try to get the angle right first and then bring it out. And basically all I'm doing is bringing this line up and then tracing where my eyebrows go and bringing it. This is actually the very top of the head, and the hairline normally falls somewhere around here depending on how big the forehead is. So for this particular portrait, we're going to bring it down to about here, and we're going to bring it around. Now some people's hairlines are more rounded, some are more square. But for the sake of this portrait, we're going to make this go around and come down by the ears. Now erase all those lines. So now that we are coming to an end, this is where we get to be creative. You can personalize your drawing with the hairstyle of your choice. You can add accessories or earrings and really get creative with how you want the portrait to come out. Now I'm going to show you the sped up version of how I finished my portrait.